Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I want to talk about the Dickens Method. I don't know if you've ever heard of this, but Tony Robbins, when they ask him, and if you're familiar with Tony Robbins, he's one of the best kind of life coaches and whatever you want to call him in the world. He works with the biggest, brightest of the whole planet. Literally, like, you know, from actors to billionaires, investors, you name it. He works with some of the most important people and some of the wealthiest people in the world, and he figures out how to get them to make the changes that he wants. And so I think there's something to be learned about that. And so I went through a Tony Robbins event recently. And when I was at that event, he takes us through this process called the Dickens Method. And I want to kind of lay that out for you and how it can apply to weight loss and kind of some of the ways that he's used it and examples that he gave, and how you can probably use this for weight loss and try to get you motivated to finally start that journey of losing weight. If you don't know who I am, my name is Eddy. I lost over 125 pounds. I've kept that weight off for over 22 years. I lost weight when I was 19 years old back in 2002. Right now I'm in my early 40s. And my mission is to empower people to understand they can still lose weight. There's nothing typically wrong with them. They just need to understand how. They need to understand the right systems to put in place so that they can have success. No matter what you've done in the past that hasn't worked, it's because you haven't had the right system in place. If you're interested in coaching, I do have limited spots that I take on people to do coaching, and the link is in the description, so you can click there and you can get a little more information there. We can have a call, see if it's a good fit for you. Back to the Dickens Method. So what is the Dickens Method? Well, actually, it was inspired by A Christmas Carol. So if you've ever seen the movie A Christmas Carol, the old movie with Scrooge, where he sees kind of his past, his present, and his future, and he sees the three ghosts, you know, the past, the present, and the future ghost. Basically, Robbins uses it to make you feel the pain of staying the same. And he also uses that in contrast to the pleasure of changing. And so let me explain that a little more. So in weight loss, what it would do is it would force you to understand the consequences of your current habits if they were to stay the same. If you weren't changing anything and you were just staying the same and doing your current habits. And so we're going to go through a 4-step process. It's going to be a short video, but I'm going to take you through a 4-step process so you can kind of understand how this works. The first thing is looking at your past. So you're not going to be able to do it to the extent that he does it when he does it at his live events. The way that I did it on a virtual event. And it was actually pretty powerful. Like, I'm talking about, like, I was thinking about certain things in the past. It had nothing to do with weight loss. It was other stuff in my life. But you get to the point where, like, you're literally emotional, you're crying, like you feel the tears coming out. Like, he really digs in to your past and just really digs into the emotion behind it, which is the only way that true change happens is through emotion and through that deep stuff inside that no one ever wants to talk about. So the first step is, when you look at your past, ask yourself, what has staying overweight already cost me? So if you think about how long you've been overweight in the past, what does it cost you? Has it cost you anything in terms of relationships? Has it cost you anything in terms of career and career progression? Has it cost you anything in terms of confidence, whether it's confidence at home with your significant other, maybe you're single, maybe in the dating scene, maybe at work in terms of promotions or not getting promotions, anything that has impacted your life, basically. And so if you think about your past, how has being overweight, even if it's 20, 30 pounds, it might be 100 pounds, it might be 20, 30 pounds. How has that impacted you in the past? And think about things like energy, think about things like confidence, think about things like time with family, think about things like opportunities that could have been, but that didn't happen, either because you were overweight and you couldn't do it, or you didn't have the confidence to do it, whatever it is. Or maybe you think that the fact that you're overweight had something to do with you not being able to have that opportunity, whatever it is. Think about that past. And then the second step is think about the present. What is it costing you right now to stay the same? And so, are you tired? Are you less productive at work? Are you tired when you come home to spend time with your family? Are you less present with loved ones? Are you less confident when you put your clothes on in the morning? If you have to wear a suit, a lot of people that I work with are, you know, busy professionals and they're executives and entrepreneurs. Are you uncomfortable in the morning when you put on your shirt and your pants and your suit or whatever it is that you wear every day? Are you uncomfortable going throughout your day? Are you uncomfortable going to parties or going to special events? Are you uncomfortable if there's a wedding coming up and you have to fit into a certain suit or tuxedo or whatever it is? Think about how it's impacting you today. And then the future is the third step, which is project forward 5, 10, 15, 20 years, what would your life be like if you weren't changing anything, if you stayed exactly the same? So how much worse does it get? If nothing changes right now, if you continue to be overweight, and I want you to keep in mind that you don't gain weight all at once, you gain weight over time. So if you're doing the same things that you're doing now and you're 20 or 30 pounds overweight, in 15 or 20 years, you might be 30 or 40 or 50 pounds overweight if you keep doing the same things. So I want you to keep that in mind. And I want you to think about health problems. How much worse does it get? What kind of health problems? Do you have high blood pressure? Maybe you have that now. Do you have high cholesterol? Like in the future, 5, 10, 20 years from now, do you have pain in your knees because your body is carrying around extra weight on your limbs and on your knees and on your hips? What does it look like? What does it feel like? What kind of foods do you eat? How do you feel when you put on your shirt in the morning? How do you feel when you get ready for work? How do you feel when you want to have an intimate moment with your significant other? How confident are you? How much energy do you have? Are you able to keep up with your kids if you do have a family and you have kids that are growing right now? In 15, 20 years, are you in pain keeping up with them? Are you sitting at a chair watching them play, or are you out there playing with them? Those are things that you need to think about. And what he does throughout this process, and this is a very light version of that, obviously, because I'm kind of taking you through it really quickly. But what I want you to do is I want you to think about, if nothing were to change in the future, what would that look like? And what kind of regrets would you potentially have if you didn't do that now, if you didn't do that exercise and you didn't focus? And so I think one of the big mistakes that people make is they say, well, I'm 15, 20, 30 pounds overweight right now, but it's not that big of a deal. I'm okay. I'm kind of comfortable. I'm not super uncomfortable. You don't have enough pain right now. And that's understandable. You don't have enough pain right now. It is what it is. You're busy and you're occupied and distracted with other things. But what the mistake that people make is they don't understand or think about what it's going to look like in 10 or 20 years if you continue to do the same thing. Again, you don't gain weight all at once. You gain weight over time. You get unhealthier or healthier over time. These changes take time. So in 10 or 20 years, are you going to go in the right direction and get healthier, or are you going to go in the wrong direction and get unhealthier? And so I want you to feel what it's like if you were to continue to do the same thing you do today. What would it be like? What would your life feel like? What would your body feel like? If you think you'll be an extra 20 pounds, go get a 20-pound dumbbell and try to walk around with that all day. If you think that losing 20 pounds is not that big of a deal, again, get a 20-pound dumbbell and walk around with it all day. I can guarantee you it's actually pretty eye-opening when you actually grab a dumbbell or a 20-pound weight and you walk around with it all day. And you'll start to realize how big of a deal losing 20 pounds is. It can change your life. And so I want you to really dig into that, feel the emotions, really understand that every part of your life, from a career perspective, from a professional perspective, from a family perspective, from a loved one's perspective, from just the way that you feel, your energy, the way that you interact with your kids if you have kids or your family, the way that you interact with your friends. What do you do on the weekends? Are you too tired, or do you go on hikes, or do you go on a bike ride, or do you go for a run? Do you have a workout, or do you just sit on the couch and watch TV and eat whatever, Think about these things, because if you don't think about them now, then they're just going to happen. Life is just going to pass you by and life is going to happen to you. Versus if you think about them now, then you're going to have a little more control over the things that at least you can control, because we can't control everything. But there are a lot of things that we can control. And the only way that we can have awareness around what those things are is by projecting out into the future now and thinking about it ahead of time and planning for that stuff. And the nice thing about it is when you do that, you don't have to make any changes all at once. You don't have to do a 30-day challenge. You don't have to do any of that stuff. You can just start with one simple thing and you can implement that and you're on your way to being healthier. But in order for you to feel that pain, what it does is, and this is what Tony Robbins does, is he tells a story about this guy that wants to quit smoking. And he goes into the hotel and he's looking for this guy. And the guy is outside, apparently. He's not even in the room. He's outside and he's smoking. And he's trying to smoke a cigarette. And Tony comes on. He's like, what are you doing? And the guy's like, well, I'm trying to get my last cigarette in because I know that you're going to force me to quit. So I just want to get my last cigarettes in. And so he's like, okay. So they go into the hotel room And he tells this story about the guy sitting there, and Tony Robbins hands him a cigarette box, and he says, I want you to light one up. And the guy's confused, and he's like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah, I want you to light one up. Light up a cigarette right now. Light up a cigarette. And the guy's like, okay. Thought I was here to quit, but okay. So he grabs a cigarette, he starts smoking a cigarette, and he's like, light up another one. He's like, what do you mean? I already got one in my mouth. He's like, no, light up another one. Right now, light up another one. And the guy's like, no, I don't want one. And Tony screams at him with energy, and he's like, light up another one. He's like, okay, I got it. I'll light up another one. He grabs another cigarette, and then now he's got 2 lit cigarettes in his mouth, and he's trying to smoke, and he's telling the story. He's super animated. And then he's like, how does it feel? He's like, oh, it's a lot. He's like, light up another one. He's like, what do you mean? I've already got 2 cigarettes. Light up another one. And he screams at him, and he gets super, super emotional, and with a lot of energy, he screams at him. Like, the guy's like freaking out, he said. And he's like, all right. And then next thing you know, he's got 4 or 5 cigarettes in his mouth, and he's like puffing and puffing. And he's like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. And he's like, okay, you can put them out if you want. And so in that moment, that guy thought he wanted to smoke. He's like, I'm going to smoke my last cigarette before I quit. What Tony Robbins did is he flipped it. And the perspective completely changed when he said, you want to smoke? All right, we're going to smoke 5 or 6 cigarettes all at once. Go ahead, go at it. But you got to smoke them right here in front of me. And the whole hotel room is filling up with smoke. And the guy's going crazy, and to the point where the guy's like, I can't take this anymore. I don't want this. I don't want this. It was his decision. It wasn't Tony telling him not to smoke. Tony was telling him to smoke more. But it was his decision that he said, that's it. I can't take this anymore. I can't take this. And as the story goes, the guy never smoked again. The guy, he had this moment where something flipped. There was a switch that flipped inside of him. And he said, I can't take this anymore. And he never smoked again. And you have to realize that you can do the same thing with anything in your life. And when it comes to fat loss, you have to get so disgusted and fed up with the fact that what you can be in 20 years is really unhealthy, overweight, and in pain, and not able to play with your kids or your family, or not able to have, the confidence and the energy that you want. You have to look at that, and you have to let that stare you in the face and look at that and be like, damn, like, that's scary. That does something inside of me. And when you feel that inside of you, because if you don't feel it inside of you, you haven't done it enough. And you haven't really focused enough on how terrible it can be 10, 20 years from now. And if you're thinking, oh, maybe it's not that terrible, like whatever. Yeah, you got to focus on everything that I just talked about. You don't know what it's like to have high blood pressure, to be on pre-diabetic medication, to be on high cholesterol medication, to have to take 7 pills every single day, to have to do all of that stuff, to be overweight, to be carrying around 30, 40 extra pounds. Think about all of that stuff, and you'll realize this is not fun. This is not fun. How are people going to look at you? Think about all these different details. The more detail and the more feeling you attach and the more emotion you attach to this process, the more effective it's going to be. To the point where you feel so emotional about it that you're almost about to get into, I'm telling you, when I did the exercise with him, it was about some deep-seated kind of limiting beliefs that I had in my head from growing up and the way that I grew up, and in terms of finances and in terms of a lot of other things, and am I good enough for certain things? And we went back and we touched on a lot of different things and a lot of different emotions, and we went into the future and what would my life be like if I didn't change now, and if I wasn't aware of these things that I can become. And it was really bleak and really scary, and to the point where like I had tears, running down my face. And so I want you to really take this seriously and dig deep into that emotion of what is it going to be like if you don't change, if you keep doing the same thing you're doing now in 20 years. Tell you what, it's going to be a lot worse of a picture than even what it is right now. So think about that. And then the last step, so that's the third step. That's like looking at the future. And that's like the really, really hard one, right? It's like looking at the future. But the last step is step number 4, which is flipping it around, right? And then imagining the future where you did change, where you did lose weight, where you started to do that one thing that you implemented today, and then you started getting healthier. And in 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 years, you were down those 20 pounds and you were super healthy. And you didn't have to worry about all that medication. You didn't have to take the pills. You didn't have to worry about the pre-diabetic thing. You didn't have to worry about the high blood pressure, the high cholesterol, all of the stuff, the heart disease risk going up, the cancer risk going up, the pain in the hips, the pain in the knees, You can go hiking, you can go traveling, you can go do whatever you want because you're healthy and you're lean and you feel good and you have energy. You have the energy to do the things that you want to do in life. And so you're going to have more energy, you're going to have more confidence, you're going to be able to have better health, you're going to be able to live more fully, you're going to be an optimized version of yourself. Think about that future and contrast that to the future if you didn't change anything. And then I want you to realize the difference, and hopefully that'll kind of motivate you at least to get started with just one thing, right? And I have a ton of other videos on that one thing. Which one thing can you start with? Whether it's drinking more water, whether it's focusing on protein, there's a million different things. And if you want, I'll link my video where I have all of I have a playlist with a bunch of different videos that you can watch there at the end. So you'll be able to kind of go in there and look at whatever kind of topic you want. I've created a video at this point on most of those topics on how to get started, what to focus on, top 10 things, all that stuff. So there's plenty of time to go and look at that stuff. But the first thing is, why make the choice? Why decide? Right? And you have to focus on that future. Which future do you want to choose? Is it step 3 where you're looking at that future and nothing changed? Or is it flipping it around and saying, yeah, I changed today and then now 20 years later, I'm a lot healthier for it. And so think about that. It works if you work it. I guess I could say, like, if you don't internalize it, if you don't really feel it, if you don't dig in and get in touch with some of these emotions that people don't like to do because it's uncomfortable. If you don't do that, then this isn't going to work and you're wasting your time. But if you really want a reason to change, and if you really want to look out and kind of project into the future, there's going to be either one or two scenarios that you can look at, a really, really good one and a really, really bad one. And so hopefully that helps you choose which one it is that you want to take action on today, because what you do today determines how you feel in 10 or 20 years. If you need help implementing a system to help you do all of this, something that fits into your lifestyle, something that fits into your busy schedule, your travel schedule, whatever it is that you have going on. I work with people 35 and older, men and women. Click in the link in the description if you want to learn more about coaching. We can have a call to see if it's a good fit for you. I will see you on the next one. Like, subscribe, do all that good stuff, and then comment and tell me, are you going to get started today or are you going to wait? You've been waiting a long time, so I think it's time you get started. Comment in the video, send it to someone that you think needs to see this, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.